Hi, beautiful souls. Do you have a website? If you said yes, this episode is for you because a pretty website doesn't always pay the bills, right? But a strategic one does. And that's why I invited my guest today, Ari K.
Hi, Lucy. It's so good to be here.
Ari, you are the CEO and head of the strategy at Shikalovia. I love this name. A women minority-owned web and creative agency transforming websites for women-led brands. Ari is the all co Ari is the co-author of the best-selling book Made to Sell, creating websites that convert. She has been featured in Forbes, Thrive Global, Buffer, and numerous outlets and speaks at conferences across the country. Doesn't that sound amazing?
You're too kind, Lucy.
So obviously, if we started with the question, who needs a website? I would say everybody on earth. I believe everyone needs a website. I don't trust anyone who does not own a website. But what does a good website mean to you, Ari?
Oh man, that is a very important question, right? Simply because I've seen it time and time again when businesses only use a website as another checkbox after they, complete everything they needed to do in order to build a business. So when they ended up coming to us, realizing that, hey, my website actually not doing anything for my business, what do I do next? So you always have to have a purpose for everything that you do in business, including for your website. Now, if you ask me like what is a good website should look like, and B, it at least need to have a purpose. If you say that I have no idea what my business website should be for, then start thinking today, right? Because you have already invested in it, you have it launched already with your business, then you might as well, generate some income from it or at least some sort of like leads for your business. So that's a quick answer for that. We can go in depth into it as well, Lucy.
Yeah, of course. So, besides not having a purpose, obviously, what are some of the biggest mistakes you've seen people make when it comes to their websites?
Oh man. It always makes me cringe, right? One, it's not just about the design, but also about the content. Oftentimes you see website with so much going on in it, and it's almost like, a content barf, right? It was like you put so much stuff into it and people just getting so confused. And it's like, what do I do with all this info? It's not being structured and you feel lost to it. You're trying to dig into information, but you didn't even find it. So imagine how frustrated someone would be landing on your homepage or any landing pages that you have and just really feeling super frustrated. They want to buy from you, but they don't even know how to. They want to book you, but they can figure out like, are they the right fit? So a lot of these like mistakes that I have seen over and over again, we need to fix that. You want to get bookings from your website, you want to get more sales from your website. Think through the journey for your customers, your users, your potential clients who's trying to understand like, are you the right fit for me? Is this product for me or for my family or maybe for my friends, right? So make it clear for them to understand how you can really help them.
Do you think in order to be successful, does a website have to be both pretty and profitable?
Mm. Oh, the graphic designer in me was like, yes, it must be pretty. But to be honest with you, I've seen ugly websites out there that really just like hit it home with their content and very like strategically structured with it. And it creates a lot more conversion, right? So I would say there has to be a balanced approach in terms of like making sure that your website is, legible, it has good contrast, it is on brand, right? And everything in it makes sense. You can't just like have a website that is talking about, let's just say like meatballs for kids, and then you're putting, images about people in a gym. It's like that's just not gonna work, right? So everything has to connect, everything has to feel that it is seamless. It's really conveying the message you want people to understand about and also appealing to your target audience. I hope that helps a little bit.
So how do you know if your website is working for you or not?
Mm, if it's giving you leads, right? And if you set the right purpose or maybe even like specific role for this website. For example, let's just say that you want your website to maybe generate leads for you every single month, right? So you'll work and figure out a way to build it so that it has the functionality that it needs to support that, as well as the right content and imagery and design that will drive the conversion for that. So if you do your marketing right, because a website is just not gonna get their own traffic on their own, you still need to market it, right? That's why you'll be using social media, any other marketing campaign, email newsletter, whatever it is that you have for your business, driving people to your website. And then the website becomes the platform that can convert these people from not knowing anything about you into like really getting you the leads that you want, or even like the sales that you want from an e-commerce website.
So, where do you see people miss the mark the most when it comes to writing their website copy?
Mm. One part of that is not understanding your unique value proposition, right? Every business have a unique value proposition. I know sometimes it can be very challenging trying to figure out like, how am I unique? I'm just like any other brand that sell X, or maybe like offering X, Y, and Z service. But there's got to be a reason why you are the one building this business, why you have a specific expertise in this field, or maybe like your product is very much, high grade quality. It even got endorsement for, a lot of different, I don't know, like famous people, or even like celebrities, and even like, people in your particular industry that can vouch for that. There's got to be a reason like why it excel for you and in your industry. So leverage that, right? And I felt like oftentimes too, people don't really understand like, how do I create like more of a snackable content on my website, rather than just like telling everybody all the things that I know about my product or my service. And it becomes like all about you, instead of like all about your customers and how they can benefit from buying from you, or like, booking you for their service. So I would say think through what would be most important for your target audience to know immediately. I tend to say that there are 5 questions that you have to answer for your user before they actually create conversion on your website. So the first one is very easy. You go to a website and you want to know like, what is this website? Just tell me quickly, like, what is this? Like, so you have like 2 or 3 seconds now to just immediately tell people like, what is it that you do? What is it that you provide? So making it clear. Don't try to be super, catchy, or like too cute with your headline. To be honest, just be straightforward, right? If you have a specific tagline that's already clear, use that. Or if you have your own unique positioning, use that. So whatever it is, use that at the top of your website, in the very first part of your hero. That is your first thing that you want to make sure is being conveyed to your target audience. And then tell them how everything works. We all know how things work for your website, or maybe for like an e-commerce site, or maybe like how to book things, but they want to understand, what is your process? So when people being guided through a process, they feel that they are putting this confidence in you, letting them know that they're being guided. So there's like a very tricky psychological things that's happening in our mind. And then, of course, you want to make sure that this business that you just found out, the website, is legit, right? So how do you know? Well, you'll see all the different, press that maybe they've gotten, the testimonials, all the reviews, or maybe even like affiliation that they are part of. These build that trust immediately. So you already have some of them. Try not to bury them near the bottom of your website, because then by the time they get to the bottom of the page, they're not probably interested anymore. So move those up a little bit on your web page so that it's not getting buried, and building the trust immediately. And then number 4, right? You need to guide them to your call to action. Oftentimes I will see like so many call to action being thrown into a web page, right? Do this and then go here and then check this out. It's like, what do you want me to do on the website? So making sure that there's one particular primary call to action that really tells them, hey, book here. And that's being repeated, enough times, not so much in your face, of course, but strategically being placed and reminding people, this is the main thing I want you to do on this page. And then after that, you need to make sure that everything is connected, right? If you're sending people to the checkout, make sure the checkout is working. or if you're sending them to like different pages and stuff like that, just making sure that there won't be any disjointed experience.
I love this so much. That was a lot of information, and you probably covered 5 questions I was going to ask you next. But let's come back to the same question. What do you think is more important, design or copy?
Ooh, no, don't make me choose, Lucy. That is hard. Oh my goodness. Okay, I can't choose. I would say
Yeah,
it's
you have to
actually
work
very,
together, right?
yes, it has to be. I mean, you can't just like have a pretty website and not conveying the right message. And the same thing, you can't have the right message without the right imagery that support this, emotional feeling you want to convey, right? Because at the end of the day, everything is emotional for us. We buy things because we feel emotional. We want to feel heard. We want to feel that we find the right deal, or maybe we find that we finally have like this right vision that people finally understood, or even just sort of like a simple product that would make us feel really good day to day, right? It's just so emotional. So I felt like both of these has to work together. But one part that people also tend to miss is that technology, right, behind your website could also play a big role. Because say that you have all figure out with your design and your copy, but then your website is not loading within the first 5 seconds. Oh my goodness, you will lose that traffic, right? So there's this trifecta essentially, like between the design and then the content or the copy, as well as the technology.
Good reminder, that extra point. What's your take on using videos on your website? Like, for example, a welcome video or a video testimonial in comparison to just a text testimonial on your website.
Mm. I would say that really depends on the target audience that you're after, right? I personally love seeing videos, especially on websites that has products, right? I want to know how would other people using the product. Like in real life, yes, there are some pretty pictures, product shots, and all of those, very curated photography. But I want to see like what would the real people use it for, or maybe like how do they use it? How would they look when they're using it, right? Especially when it's all about fashions or even like cosmetics and beauty products, right? You kind of want to see like, is it actually work? I mean, how would people actually use it, especially with different skin tones and all the different bodies that we have? It really helps to see the video. So I would say it depends on like who are your target audience and what do they value from seeing such content on your website. Now, I also see great benefit having a video, either like an explanation video or maybe like a walkthrough and behind the process video, that kind of stuff for, B2B, because sometimes people just truly want to see the other person behind the brand beyond just that image, beyond just the photos that you have, right? So I think this is gonna bring us back into like having that emotional connection. And we are so lucky. I mean, everything is so easy to plug and play these days for all things related to website. You don't technically even need to code things into website as much. There's a lot of like no code platforms out there. And if you have like any video collection from your own users or customers, you can leverage that as a very great UGC or user generated content on your website, as well as like any other explanatory videos that you can pull to support your brand messaging on your website.
So, what can someone make a change to today on their website to help them sell better tomorrow?
Mm. Make sure to take a look at your homepage, right? Audit it yourself. I do have a freebie that I can share where you can just like diagnose this on your own. So it's more like a checklist essentially. You can go, one section at a time. There are 5 categories essentially on your homepage that you kind of need to look at. Part of it is the ones that I already mentioned earlier, but also it kind of gives you an idea like what is currently not working and why is it not working. So it's gonna give you some pointers. I would say really take a look at it from the perspective as a customers, not you as the business owner, and then understand like, is this content too much or is it too little or is it just enough? So make those changes and then see how some of these interaction that you're getting from your users are coming in, right? And then optimize all the time, I feel like website is never done, right? You have to remember
Totally.
website is never done. So you're continuously going to improve upon it. You will learn new things about maybe the interaction on the homepage actually is better than your shop page. And then maybe on another week, the shop one is actually better interaction than your homepage. So it's always like continuously trying to optimize what could be better, but at least, you can get started with your homepage and then figure out what next step you need to do from there.
Is there a section or page that's often neglected, but it's important?
I don't know if you noticed this trend, Lucy, but contact us page is not as important anymore, right? But people still have them. I would say if you are a service-based business, you should probably just get rid of contact us page. But what you can do is to replace it with a booking page instead, right? So you want to actually start talking to people and them to book a time with you so that they can understand how might they be a good fit for you. So for direct to consumer businesses or even like e-commerce businesses, I think it's still fine if you want to keep your contact us page, because I could imagine people who maybe can't figure out how to do a return or maybe like have issue with your orders and stuff like that, they would want to contact you immediately. But also I would add in like frequently asked questions sections, or different lists of those questions in your contact us page as well, just so that at least if people already have most common questions that you can maybe address immediately, they don't even need to contact you.
Thank you so much for sharing all your knowledge with us today. For someone who has no idea, never outsourced any of their websites or is thinking about getting a new website up, what kind of budget are we talking about in working with an amazing agency like yours?
Yeah. Wow, pricing wise, that is all over the place, right? Because you can get so many different quotes depending on who you're talking to. If you're talking to, agency like us, for us in particular, we have like two tracks of pricing. So we have pricing specifically for new businesses or emerging businesses who have very tight budget and want to get maximum impact. And we also have like separate pricing for established businesses who really just want to grow in scale. So we don't have this like one pricing fits all. We really look at like where are you in your business right now and what kind of impact can we really create together with you based on the budget and the long-term, goals that you're trying to hit. Now, if we want to really like dig deeper in terms of like monetary, and I guess like ballpark if you want, right? I would say think of it this way: if you only have like a few pages website and you're just getting started, you might be looking at like 3,500 to 5,000, right? And with that, you should already get like a good guidance and some strategic guidance as well. Not just like, okay, here's a website, go away. It's more about like, let's figure out what we can do together so that we can really get you launched with the right and proper foundation and helping you, grow the business bit by bit. And then for like more of an established businesses, you're probably looking at like 10, 15, 20 plus, $1,000 per engagement or even like per project. So it is kind of like all over the place in terms of like pricing. But I would say before you even connect with a provider, whether it's like web designer, web developer, or an agency, think about like what do you want this website to be and how can it play a role in your business so that you're not just like putting money on marketing without having a good return on investment later on.
Yes, I think it's the pricing has to do with different UX, right? We call it user experience, a new word I
Mhm.
learned in the recent years. It's always fun to learn new things and let the pro do it.
Yes, I think sometimes you have this in the back of your mind that you, as the business owner, want to do everything and anything. You should at least have the knowledge about it. You do not
Mm.
have to do it on your own though, because I feel like there's this great way of any CEO or business owner to at least understand like if I X, sorry, not if I, if I'm doing X right for my business, how is that gonna create a return for me? How is that gonna impact the business? How is that gonna serve my customer better? So at least like some insights in it. You do not have to do like the nitty-gritty details of it.
Beautifully said. Okay, Ari, in your days running your business, when you need a picker-upper, what is a favorite quote that you resort to?
Favorite quote? Oh, okay. So this one, someone actually shared this with me the other day, and it has always been, stuck in my mind lately, especially for this year. This year has been just like a wacky year for us. But it's a good reminder that you are not defined, by your success, not always, right? Yes, you may see a lot of different successes all around you, and you always want to like, go to the highest level immediately, but you forget that the process and the journey, that's what makes it worth it. So I have to just like remind myself, like, you are not always defined by your success. So I would say if you're listening to this and you also feel that everywhere I look, everybody's achieving the success that I wanted, but really look inwards, like, is that really the success you want? Because we don't know what's happening behind closed doors, right? We don't know what people needed to do in order to get to that success. We are all on our own journey. My page 20 might not look like the same as somebody else's page 35 or 50, right? So, you know, this is your own journey.
I love that. Love that reminder. And even if you're on your chapter one, you're on a new book, and it's an exciting journey ahead.
I agree.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your time, Ari. I will list all your links in the show notes and have a blessed rest of your day.
Thank you, Lucy.